Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. My name is Chrism. I'll be your host for today, and it's an interesting day today, Wednesday. This will be the Wednesday before our Germany seminar, and so looking forward to taking that long flight to Germany and to Copenhagen and other parts. So welcome to this program today. Now, we've had a great level of activity since the Denver seminar, and I would like to thank everybody who came to the Denver seminar and who received the grace from the Denver seminar and began this journey of Kundalini activation and awakening. And I understand that there's been some degree of discomfort, disenchantment, distrust, an explosion of anger, perhaps, and resentment towards how I initiate some of my teachings with the private students. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has complained. Thank you to everybody who has reached out to vilify and to bring more attention to these areas of the teachings, because they're very important areas. They do occur. They certainly occur within the teachings I give, but they also occur within teachings that other people who teach similar subjects, it'll occur there too. And it only really occurs in the taboo areas, simply because they are taboo areas, and these areas also need to be crossed by the people that are coming in contact with Kundalini. Just because they're taboo to society does not mean that the Kundalini will avoid them, which is what the ego expectation would be. So I'm going to go over here to the chat room and see how folks are doing. I'd like to say hello to everybody in the chat room. We have Iman there and John Bien. Hello, you guys. Hello, Emma, and the guests there. So I'm not going to avoid these subject matters when they come up, simply because they are also important parts of the teachings. And I've noticed that as we evolve through our physical being and this physical dimension into a more transcendent state of semi-divinity, we're going to take the lessons that Kundalini gives us, and we're going to try to apply them to our lives. And it's going to be, as the Kundalini is, it's going to come out typically as a sine wave, or that's the scientific term for a wave that has peaks and valleys. We go up and we go down, and inside of the evolution of our journey from the ego-centric, everything is all ego, fear of loss, want of gain type of scenario in life, as we merge towards the sacred divine, all areas of the life expression are going to be crossed. Really, the taboo areas are going to be highlighted. These taboo areas include matters of the heart, matters of the mind, of course, matters of sexuality, matters of the body. All of these things are going to come into the mix. And what I typically do is I'll give people really, really strong mantras that indicate a complete dissolution of the self. Give myself to you, my teacher, my Kundalini teacher, Chrism. I give myself to the Kundalini and Chrism. I give the control of my life, the control of my mind, the control of my choices, the control of my ego expression. I give all these things to you so that you no longer hold on to them within yourself. the flesh teacher is part of the process. The Kundalini will lead you to that flesh teacher, but you're going to have to do the work that will keep you with that flesh teacher, and it's not going to be easy work. It's not all about, conforming to your egocentric expectations. And so let's just say, for example, that a person has an egocentric expectation of never wearing the color blue. Okay, we'll just use that as an example. And so, of course, the Kundalini is going to go, oh, okay, all right. And you've got to remember, this is on the same level that nudity would be or nakedness would be, to the individual. And it's like almost one of the first things the Kundalini is going to do is say, okay, it's time for you to dress in blue. Wham, goes right against your cultural expectations, goes right against how you've been raised, and all of these warning signs come to the individual. All of the red flags come up, and all of a sudden, it may appear that you're in front of this terrible, terrible teacher that is promoting a conflagration within you that signals, that you've made a terrible mistake in a teacher, and this person is going against all of your cultural values, and if not all of them, some of the most important ones: to never wear the color blue, or to never be naked, or to never cross those taboo lines. Kundalini is going to cross them, and if Kundalini is going to cross them from the inside out, the flesh teacher that the Kundalini's led you to, if they're authentic to the teachings, they're going to cross it from the outside in. And but here's the real nice thing about that is that, especially if you're doing this with me, you are in full control at all times. I know it doesn't sound that way, but it is. And if you read some of the the terrible rhetoric that and condemnation and accusations that people have been saying to me lately, I won't mention the name of the person who really drew her attention to this. It's really, she was in control. Everybody who's ever complained about me has been in control the whole time. There's this lovely, lovely button on a keyboard called an off switch. And all a person has to do is press that button. You are in full control at all times when you deal with me. There are actually two off buttons. If we're doing a Skype, well, you can press the off button on the screen with your cursor, or you can just turn off the entire computer. You are in control at all times. Not so much with the Kundalini, but certainly with me as a flesh teacher, you're totally in control. You always have been. You always have been, because, we communicate by virtue of this technology, and you have to agree to use this technology to have a Skype session with me, or a consultation with me, or to communicate with me digitally in any way. It's a 50-50 deal. I can turn it off, or you can turn it off. And so I understand that people are complaining. Some people are complaining, and that, oh my gosh, somebody was asked to expose themselves in ways that are just not acceptable by the society and the public and the cultural tribal tradition that they may not have even known that they were a part of. And oh my God, what is Jesus going to think? And what is Allah going to think? What is Buddha going to think? And Kundalini doesn't really care what they cares about the authentic, natural, pure individual, and that does not always include confining itself to the assertion of typical taboo-based fears or expectations or attachments. I really appreciate the people in the chat room right now saying the sound is good, by the way. I totally forgot to do my sound check here. So thank you, Ivan and Janvian. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we have a lot of disturbed people, and it's like, oh my God, what did he? Oh, he is a fraud. He's corrupted. He's rotten to the core, and all those things are true. All those things are true. Corrupted, rotten to the core, all of these things, and yet none of it's true. It's only true to the sense that I've had to expose myself to these qualities in people, and to recognize that, oh my God, here we go. We've got to have these people face these fears, these indecencies, as we call them here in the West, in the United States. As we knock on the bathroom door, are you decent in there? And the answer is yes or no. And the decency is, are you clothed? And the indecency is, are you unclothed? And I've had to challenge that within people. We're not messing around here, folks. Not with the Kundalini. The Kundalini is far too powerful. It is far too rich in its feedback and its gift of grace. It is far too big a deal to hide behind your bathrobe or your bath towel. I mean, it's just far too big a deal. And one of the main bastions of egotistic safety is within the clothing. And so some of the, and I've done this with men or women. It's not just with women. I would do it with a cat and a dog if they weren't already in that position. Lasha, I've never seen Lasha wear clothes. Okay, and Ishta here, she's sleeping on the couch, all stretched out next to me, and she's perfect just the way she is. I would take the collar off her. Just for the natural quality of it. And this extends into as some of you know, into the practices that I teach for people to do, with regard to being natural in nature. Oh my God, I get pilloried for that one too. I'm a corrupt and evil teacher because I tell people to take their clothes off in the natural environment and to go out there and be natural in nature. Oh my God. This becomes such a big issue. And so within the evolutionary line, as I was mentioning earlier, that sine wave, the ups and downs of evolution, I can see, and I've seen it for a while, that people will do a certain level of practice, including everything I've just mentioned. They'll be doing the really strong mantra. I give myself to you, my Kundalini teacher. I give control of my life. I give control of my mind. I give control of my body. I give control of my choices. I give my obedience to you. I give my trust to you. I give all these things to you. And they're saying it without clothing on, although with Skype you can't really see everything. But they're saying it in a natural pose, and they'll do this, and they'll get the reward. They'll get the reward of that egoless authenticity that their Kundalini is supporting within them, as well as the Kundalini from me is supporting within them. They'll get that reward. They'll get that freedom. They'll get that sacredness, that divine sense of super honesty that goes beyond our cultural convictions of decency or indecency, as I explained before. And they'll get this, and they'll do this over and over and over and over, day in, day out, day in. They'll do it by themselves. They'll do it with the teacher on Skype. They'll, back and forth and back and forth. They'll do it with the teacher in person. The teacher will be there in person. And these people will be giving themselves from the true core of authentic Kundalini expression within them. And no, nobody is having sex. Nobody is being asked things that are beyond the scope of Kundalini. And, even though there is nothing beyond the scope of Kundalini, we're not really This is not an exhortation to engage in sexual activity. The only exhortation towards sexual activity would be, along the lines of the Kundalini and the person themselves. There's no exhortation. Otherwise, and people need to understand that. And even if this was a tantric type of scenario, it's all for the Kundalini. There's nothing, to back up a little bit, the Kunalini can mess with your electronic equipment, seriously. And if you're doing stuff that is not for the Kundalini, and it's just say you're, the person's own whatever, that Kundalini is very, very able to just turn off the power. I've had my computer motherboards warped and twisted. I just lost a wristwatch just last week. Not lost. The Kundalini just killed it. I've gone through various phones. I have the graveyard of computers, and it's because she has control over these things. And the amplitude of the power is so great that it messes with the technology. And so she really could put her thumb down. Right now, new computer laptop, newest laptop that I have, and really, mess it up. And so you have got to step beyond what your egocentric perversion accusations would be. You don't get to engage in these areas here. It will get leached right out of you. And so these people will practice this day in, day out, and then all of a sudden they'll stop practicing. They'll stop doing this work. And yet you've got to remember that when you do this work, you bring in loads of energy. You're bringing in loads of Kundalini because you're doing this work in an authentic, natural environment, natural in either in nature or natural because you are giving yourself in the natural way, taking that risk, taking that and freeing yourself from the ego hold that your life has expressed all the way up till this point, perhaps. Unless you belong to, some sort of a colony or you've done this type of work with some other organization or belief system. And so as you do this, as you bring in this energy, you're bringing in lots of energy, year after year, day after day, hour after hour, you're bringing in this energy. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, you just stop. You stop doing the practice. You get bored with it, or you're not feeling like it's accelerating you in any way, which is not true. You're just becoming acclimated to it really fast. And so you just stop, and you stop doing the ego maintenance practices as well. And this is where people go off. Some of these people that are complaining right now, I've worked with them for years and years. Years, literally. And they're going off. He's corrupt. Oh, he's this, he's that. He's a terrible teacher. Oh, what a liar. I feel like I've been conned and all of these things. And these are just exhortations of the ego. These people needed to explode in some way. And so here they are. And I am the normal, natural target for that explosion. And fine. That's part of the deal when it comes to this type of work. When you come to teach people in these areas, they're going to go up the evolutionary ladder and then they're going to fall down that evolutionary ladder. It's like you're going to go 3 steps up and 2 steps down. 3 steps up and 2 steps down. And it's just going to be that way for some folks. It's not going to be that way for everyone. No. I've got people that I've also worked with for even longer than those who are complaining right now. And they're just, they've had a rocky road, but they haven't given up. They've stuck with it. They have stuck with it. They've continued and continued, even through the blizzards and the rocks and the difficult tasks that they've been given by me as a teacher. They have stuck with it, and they are harvesting that fruit all the time now. All the time. And there's a definite payoff. And, as is typical with people in general, at least in the Western technological societies, those who are happy don't say too much. They just, they'll say thank you. Those who are unhappy, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And it's important for people to understand that the squeaky wheel is going to get that oil, but everybody's going to hear the squeak. I have a great example of that. On the Mazda, I have a Mazda multi-purpose van, MPV. So on that vehicle, the tensioner for the fan belt, they have an automatic tensioner for the fan belt, so your fan belt's always tight, right? That's a malfunctioning part, and they all have that, and it's really expensive to replace it, so I can't afford to replace it. So what happens to me is, when I start the car, you get a loud shriek. It's like, I'm sure some of you have heard this. A fan belt that is, slipping. And so it gives out this loud shriek, and I'm just going, oh, God, I feel bad for my neighbors. And that's like the squeaky wheel that needs the oil, you see. Everybody hears it. Everybody hears it. And it begins to really resonate with some of the issues they may have, with, where they need a little more oil. And sometimes that can really mount into a very great level of like a snowball effect. One person hears it, another person hears it. Oh my God, and I've been doing this with him for years, and oh my God, he's so this way or he's so that way, and then the ego really gets involved, and then the entities get involved on top of the ego because they haven't been doing their egocentric maintenance, and the whole thing begins to be blown up into this great conflagration of aggressive anger, condemnation, and judgment, and really, really, really strong levels of discontent. And it's going to happen. It seems almost cyclical at times. It's just going to happen when you're working in these areas. These are the areas where that type of thing will occur. You just got to understand this. You have got to understand this. It is not anything that is, that is going to be removed. I mean, you can't just stop doing the teachings that the Kunalini wants you to do. It's a very dangerous thing to do that. And when these people do this, they stop with the maintenance, and they are inviting an energetic overload that's going to lead to a volcanic explosion like they're having in Hawaii right now. And that lava is going to fall on me. And it's going to fall on other people who choose to listen to it. So this is really what I have to say. That, and I want to. Oh, I see. I just lost her. Amelia just came on. I'm going to introduce to you in a little bit when she comes back. My co-host Amelia Santara, and she also wants to chime in on this. And I'm going to go ahead and allow that to occur. But before she comes on, there are some questions here, and so area code 720934. You're on the air.
Hello,
How
Master.
may I help you today? Hi, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. What do you think of what we're talking about today?
Yes, Master. About that, I have a question. So, in the Indian culture, like generally, there's like the thing called the evolution in the journey, and when people in their journey reach to a particular point in their journey, only then they will be able to cope up with the concept of detaching from the ego. Until then, in their journey, they'll be attached to the ego and the body and the feelings that comes with the ego. What I was thinking was, does the Kundalini say that it is time for a particular person to be detached from the ego and not to be identified with the body? or does like ego slowly fades away and that comes in? How does that happen?
That happens. They actually both ways occur. Both the Kundalini does support the natural quality of the person, not being so attached to the body, because we're attached to the body by way of fear. Fear of other people seeing it, because for some reason it's been decided in the culture that if somebody sees you in a certain state of undress, then this is indecent. This actually comes from the British culture of Queen Victoria. And, if anybody has a different idea behind that, please write it in the chat room, or, let me know what you think about that. But typically, my understanding is that to be indecent is a product of Queen Victoria's cultural programming. And because the British forces spread themselves all over the world, therefore they spread that cultural programming all over the world as well. And so, but the Kundalini, the preference is for the person to be in the state of natural expression, not attached to the covering of the body, so to speak. The body itself is the next stage of detachment from, but you've got to first get used to having the body, in a certain state of decent naturalness before you can also really detach from the physical body itself. And because this is Kundalini, and because Kundalini is housed in the physical body, there's not going to be a whole level of detachment from that physical body. What the detachment from is the egotistic appreciation or lack of appreciation of its connection to that physical body. Everything else has to remain the same, because the whole idea with Kundalini coming to the living person is for semi-divinity to be given into that body. So the attachment to the body is going to always have to be there within a sense of the cup holding the wine. The cup is going to have to hold the sacred fluid. You can't just like crack the cup or destroy the cup and then still expect the sacred fluid not to remain in it. I mean, it's a rough analogy, in that sense. But I think what you're describing as far as detachment from the body is detachment from the egocentric aspects of the body. Is that correct, Mohan?
Yes. I've seen many of the yogis in India, like so many of them, who don't dress up, who just walk around naked, and they have reached a certain level in their journey, in their path, where they don't need to dress up themselves. But
the sadhus, right? Or they call them sadhus,
yes,
right?
Yeah, sadhus or yogis, or many names. So, if this kind of an exercise is done with a person who is not anywhere closer to that kind of level, the ego is definitely going to come up, isn't it, Master?
Yeah, it's going to come up because the Kundalini is going to push it up. It's the deal is like the difference between the sadhu and like say, Mr. or Mrs. European or American, is that the Kundalini is coming into these populations regardless of the cultural etiquette or the cultural behaviorisms that are supported by the egocentric society. It's going to come up anyway. And what I've been given to do is to lighten the egotistic attachment by pushing people into these roles where their natural form is being celebrated, rather than hidden, or rather than given the description of being decent or indecent. So now, with the yogis in India, India supports a lot of this stuff far more than Europe or the Americas do. India is very unique in that way. I think the The only other area I know of is the Australian Aborigines and some places in Micronesia as well. The whole natural thing is a very easy thing. It's not a big deal. If you look at some of the islands in the Indian Ocean, where there still are people that are natural to those islands, they're not wearing a lot of clothing. Only, in the colder regions and in some of the regions where the cultural etiquette has determined that if you're showing a certain amount of skin, you're decent or indecent. It is only where these areas are concerned is where the ego attachment comes into play. Not so much for the Kundalini. And so that's what she's doing. She's giving us an opportunity to shed our egotistic skin, and in many ways, shedding the egotistic skin is shedding the clothes as well.
I agree, Master.
Fashion. Just think of fashion.
Yeah.
Fashion,
Yeah.
And John Smith, he was wearing this svelte, dark suit, and it had such an exciting sense of surrealness to the sparkles in his tails, that the tails of the tux in his shoes were just so amazing. People are just going on and on and on about clothing. It's like the clothing becomes a part of who they are. And the Kundalini is saying, no, that is not who you are. That is who your ego wants you to be. Who you are is everything that is sitting under the clothing. Yes, sir.
Yes. And does the Kundalini push us in that position anyways, like even without a guru pushing into that position?
It did. Yeah, I have to say, from my experience, yes, it does. That's what happened to me. Why would I go naked in the middle of a snowstorm, a blizzard, 4,600 feet, or I don't know how many meters that is, like maybe 2,000 meters, in the mountains inside of a blizzard, naked, in the snow? Why would I do that at 3 a.m., that high in the mountains, in a blizzard? Why would I do that? Why would anybody do that?
Right. You did that because your Kundalini pushed at that point of time and you were ready in your evolutionary path in the journey. But I was thinking
obviously I was ready.
Being a guru, would you have an idea about a position of a person in their journey where what is required at this time or what is not required at this time? Like the same thing happens when a person is physically not ready and the Kundalini arrives. That creates a lots of trouble for their physical body and mental body if they are not prepared for it. Even in this case, the detaching from the ego and from the body, if the person is not ready for it, these kind of things will happen, right?
Typically, the person will never be ready for it, Mohan.
Oh.
How do you prepare for the hand of God to be inserted into your spine? How do you prepare for that? How do you prepare to be sitting on a volcano and have it start to erupt up your spine? I don't know how you can prepare that. I don't think you ever get to be prepared. Now, if you practice the safety protocols, which the Kundalini gave, that gives you a level of preparation. But very, very, very few people are practicing the safety. Even the people that I give the safeties to, when they're practicing the safeties, they're harvesting more energy, but then for some reason they stop either through egotistics or whatever it is, and boom, they blow out because they've stopped the maintenance practice that can help them stay balanced.
Right.
I don't think people can ever be ready for the Kundalini until they begin an egotistic maintenance practice like the safety protocols. I really, and this goes along with the mantras that I give them, because they're giving themselves physically, mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. They're stripping themselves down to the absolute level of source that anybody could, within their own levels of being able to do that. And then all of a sudden, this brings in all this energy. All this energy comes in, and it fills the void of what the people are giving. And then they stop doing the ego maintenance, and they just erupt. They just erupt. It is how it happens. I mean, and I understand it doesn't matter how long a person has been with the Kundalini. It doesn't matter whether they've had a spinal sweep or not. If they're not doing the egotistic maintenance, then they're going to have a problem. And this is what was occurring and is continuing to occur with people. And this is what happens. They don't have to give themselves to me. They can give themselves to their dog if they want, or their cat, or their bird, whatever, rabbit.
Yeah.
You could give yourself to the potted plant that you have on your balcony, Mohan, but you've got to give yourself. You've got to give yourself, and it's better to give yourself in an honest, authentic, natural expression rather than, thinking that you're giving yourself when you cake makeup all over your face, you change your hair color, you cover yourself in 6 layers of clothing just to make sure you're hiding your skin. You put a mask over your head or you put a burqa on, right? This is not going to help you in this way. It's the reverse of the process that she wants you to give. You got to remember how adamant Kundalini is about truth and honesty. You know that, right?
Yes.
Kundalini is very, very focused on a person's expression and feeling of authentic truth and honesty. I do not lie. I do not steal. I do not do these things, right? And this is also a form of extreme honesty that is being asked of an individual. And this is actually really difficult for some people to do. I know it's not difficult for you, Mohan, but I know that for other folks it is very, very difficult to do because nobody really looks forward to, I got to give myself to Chrism today at 10:30. Yay.
So maybe people will be more comfortable to give themselves to a cat or a dog or a plant.
Because it's a good practice.
Yeah, because the idea of a physical person watching them will be different from an idea of a plant. Even if it is watching them, it doesn't matter to them.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge. That's the surrender to the Kundalini. That what you just said right there is the core of the surrender to the Kundalini. You've got to get over your discomfort. You've got to cross over the cultural programming that has caused that discomfort to exist.
Yeah, is this existing these days because of the number of fake people who are doing and who got exposed already in the past? Like that thing comes to the mind of the people when they are driven into these situations?
That's just part of it. That's just part of it. That is an expression of like, he got caught, or he's been punished because he was having sex with his students or things of that nature. That type of a thing, and it's that level of cultural programming that is being pushed forward that is going to come to a confrontation with the Kundalini within. I mean, it just is. The things that we consider to be wrong and immoral and mistaken and expressions of egotism, if it's coming from the Kundalini, then it is none of those things, even if it clashes with the cultural norms of the society that you're in. It's the same thing with a relationship. If you have a relationship with a man or a woman who is not supporting the Kundalini, then that relationship is going to come apart eventually. It may not come apart right off, but because the realities are being split, you are no longer a part of that person's reality, and their reality is no longer a part of you, and that is going to determine a level of a destruction of that relationship. Well, it's the same thing with your relationship to the programming, where you accept certain fears and taboos to control your life, which we all did. We all did. We all, had to know that if you touch that hot iron, it's going to burn you, right? So you develop a fear against touching that hot iron or putting your finger on the stove or any of these things. We learned that from a very young age. I remember stepping on a bee for the very first time, and that really, really, really hurt. And it stayed with me my whole life that you don't touch bees. And yet these days, I pet bees. I pet bees with my fingers, and I hold bees, and I take entire hives of bees in my hands, and I gently relocate them into a new home for them. So I have overcome my fear, my personal taboo of touching bees, because my very first introduction to touching a bee was very, very painful. So I've overcome that, and I think the Kundalini is encouraging people to overcome the taboos and the fears and the issues that cut them off from their natural, authentic expression of themselves and the gift of themselves to the grace within.
Okay.
Is that as clear as mud?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Master.
You're welcome, my friend. Thank you for asking the question. And moving on, I have another question coming up, and I believe this is from Indra or Tyra. I forget which. I forget who that number is. Hello, you're on the air with Chrism.
Hi, Chrism. It's Indra.
Indra, 289. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. How may I help you?
Good. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Last week I asked it, but there wasn't enough time, and I wasn't too clear on it.
Okay.
So I'm going through that. I believe it's the Sushumna, because I can feel the energy from the left and the right crisscrossing at the center. And I've done a little bit of research, and I believe it's supposed to be one of the symptoms is joy and peace and love.
Okay.
And I have been going through that for the last 3 weeks, and I want to know what you think.
Well, I'm not sure I'm appreciating the sources of your information.
Okay, that's why I asked you.
Yeah. I think you're going to receive joy and peace and love regardless of where the energy is. If it's in the Sushumna anywhere, which is basically another word for the spinal cord, if your energy is in the spinal cord, you're going to be feeling that anyway. It's really not all about the spinal cord. It's about the Chitrini channel within the spinal cord. And I bet they didn't mention that. So it doesn't matter whether the Ida and the Pingala. Right. It doesn't matter if the Ida or the Pingala are crossing the spinal cord in any given position along the spine. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the level of energy flowing up the Chitrini channel, which is, the width of a hair in the middle of the spinal cord. That is what determines the amount of stuff that is reaching all the chakras, and including the crown chakra, in micro amounts, preparing for a bigger, grander spinal sweep type of scenario.
Wow. Wow. Does the Sushumna run through? Is it directly connected to the pineal gland?
The pineal gland is part of the crown chakra, so yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. My question is answered. Do you want to know what I think about the whole thing?
Sure. You go ahead and give that to me.
I really think I agree with you. It's a 50-50 deal, because I was confused. I'm reading everything. I'm part of the discussion, and I feel there was truth missing from the person's complaint from the post, and I probably read that about 10 times.
They
and I
couldn't
think
reach
that
for the
changed.
off button, I guess. You know, and you know what they do sometimes is they say, well, Chrism has such a magical power over me. I just can't reach for the off button.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but in the
like, oh God.
and in the real world, that could have been been messy, like really messy, because I feel something was missing. Because if I knew your method of teaching, then your student have to know the same thing, because just last Wednesday you explained that and said that's the way you teach without bodily fluids. Do you remember the conversation?
No.
Yes, you
but
did.
I believe you. I believe you.
That was last Wednesday. Last week Wednesday, that's exactly what you said. And I can't.
I teach
like,
without
I
body. Does that include blood and you know, stomach acid? I mean, what do you mean?
Well, you know what I mean? You said it's not direct, right? So I heard it, and I think, you know, it was not a fair statement to say that, oh, my God, there's a bee. Get it out. There's a bee that just flew right in my house.
Be nice to the bee.
Okay, I'm nice. Can you leave?
It's a Kundalini creature. Be nice to the bee.
Yes.
Do not be afraid.
Okay, it's gone.
Do not be afraid.
I'm
Do
good.
not kill the bee. Do not kill the bee. Open the door. Okay. All right.
Okay, I did not attempt to. It just startled me. And yeah, just last Wednesday, that was the conversation. Like I remember, like I heard you say it and I heard you break it down. So I really, you know what, Chrism, sign a contract.
What's it? What?
Sign a contract in the future.
Oh, well, they'll just break the contract and then blame me for, you know, teaching terrible subjects.
Well, then, you know what?
Well, you know what we're really dealing with. I was talking to another student this morning on Skype, and what we're really dealing with is integrity. The integrity of what that person is saying. If they're expressing integrity about the gift of themselves to the Kundalini vis-a-vis the gift of themselves to their Kunalini teacher and to the Kundalini within them. So as within, so without, as without, so within, right? As above, so below, you know, that whole bit. Then it's their own level of authenticity that is being compromised. It's nothing really to do with the teaching I'm giving. It's their own level of honesty to grace, honesty to the gift of themselves to grace, to becoming ego-less, not controlled by the ego, not controlled by the fears, not controlled by these attachments of certain characteristics that go with our programming in society. Yes. You know, that's on them. And you know, that's just, it's unfortunate, but that is, for them, it's unfortunate. But it is fortunate in the sense that they are allowed to begin to experience levels of truth if they can keep their integrity intact. Yes, but don't forget it's all programming too, culture, all programming, experience. It's all these things, right? Right. It's a sine wave. You're up 2 steps and you're up 3 steps and you're down 2. So it's a slow climb. It's a slow climb in the evolutionary process, and people just have to get out of their tribal fears and customs and expectations of what is decent, and not even phrase it with decent or indecency. It's just, how many babies did you birth that came into the world clothed? That's true. How many? I mean, you know, and why? If God had decreed that not having clothes is indecent, why would the child not come in with some sort of covering, you know, like a loincloth? Yes. I got it. I got the concept. Like, I got it. But, you know. Yeah. I got the concept. I do know. And I do know that, I think what Mohan was coming to when Mohan was on, he mentioned something about people, being abused by gurus in this way, and
Yes.
being hurt or being, that is also an issue, and that creates a level of fear that is beyond the cultural taboo.
Yes, and recently, just recently, there was a girl who was raped by a guru in India, not even a month ago. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So that type of activity, accentuates, the fear blockage that people have to do this type of work, and
yeah,
it's not an easy world that we live in. It's a very predatory world, and they're calling, they're calling people who teach what I teach sexual predatorism. But it is only that if people are actually doing, I guess, what that guru did. And we don't even know the whole story of that, I mean.
Of course not. Of course not.
I mean.
Yeah.
And it's just really easy for people to throw aspersions and to throw judgments and to go into these levels of high victimization. Oh my God, and it's interesting to hear it from the people that I've worked with for years,
Yep.
And yet I also know they stopped doing their ego maintenance. They stopped saying the mantras. They stopped doing this, and so bam, they push themselves right. Yeah.
But Chrism, I don't even know how they can stop, because you know what I mean? From my experience, I don't think the Kunalini ever gave me a break. Oh, I don't know if it's because I was.
No, they just stopped. They stopped cooperating. They stopped doing a practice. They stopped nurturing it, and then all of that energy that's come in through that previous nurturance, their ego starts to harden up again. Their ego starts to want to take control. Oh,
and that can happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, it has happened. I don't want to name any names, but I know some of these folks that have worked with me, and I haven't read any of that material, but some folks have told me what they've been saying and whatnot, and it's just an amazing about face from them, and it really shows a strong level of egotism, of entity, enforced egotism, and feeding the flames with any kind of substance that they can dig up. I mean, it's just it's a continuous thing. So
Yes.
Now I would like to take a moment. Oh yeah, thank you for asking your question, Andrew. I'm going to put you in the blue here as
wait. What's that word?
Whoa, what was that? Say again. I'm sorry.
What's that word you use to describe the energy in my spinal cord? Tracheotomy? I knew it wasn't.
Chitrini, the Chitrini channel. Chitrini?
Channel.
It's Chitrini. It's a Sanskrit word. And
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can look that up. I don't know if the places you're looking for information, I'm not sure how good that is, but
I'm skeptical anyway, so I just wanted to read up about it.
And while you're at it, look up Antakarana at the same time.
Antakarana?
Yeah, Antakarana, another Sanskrit word.
What does it mean?
You go ahead and just find that out.
Okay. Thank you. Be well.
Dear. And you be well as well. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, Santara Kundalini. Hello, Santara. Welcome to the program. I know you were a little behind the times there. Hi.
I am. I'm traveling with Rosemary.
Are you in Newgrange?
No, we've headed to Galway. So we got delayed along the way. Never mind why. We eventually got.
Well,
we've eventually got here.
You have quite a bit of gall to be.
In Galway. Okay. So
sorry.
We're here,
bad,
yay!
Bad,
and our internet doesn't work, so I don't have the chat room here, guys. So I just want to say hi to everyone in the chat room. I'm not there today. So, but I know there's people there.
Yep, they're all there.
Hi
Lynn
to all of you.
Seeker, Ivan, Emma, John B. and Tim Answorth. Everybody's there.
Cool.
Sound is good.
So I
They did an
missed a lot of
automatic
the...
sound check. They did an automatic sound check for me. I'm very appreciative. Yes, they did.
Who did an automatic sound check?
The chat room people. They're very kind.
Hey,
Very
good. Thank you, chat room.
Yeah.
Oh. So I came in on, Mohan was finishing up. And so I do feel I need to make a few comments, Chrism, about the drama, the situation that's going on. I mean, I haven't prepared anything, but, you know, I've received some messages and some emails from people and people I've known for a while. And, you know, saying about abuse, sexual abuse, and the fact that people also trusted me and that I led people into this situation. And I need to say something to people here. You know, I support Chrism in the way that he teaches people because Chrism has taught me over the years and has been my teacher. And this thing about naked drives me crazy. First of all, you know, naked in the context of the Kundalini isn't done on its own. It's not naked. It's naked and mantra and devotion. It all goes together, that trinity of, you know, surrender to the divine that is within us and that we give to our teacher. You know, naked in our natural form is not indecent. And it's actually, to me, it's not even sexual. There's a purity in that when I am within that context and within my Kundalini as a practice for me. And I suppose, you know, I have empathy and sympathy and compassion and a bit of sadness, but I'm also a little bit mad because I think, you know, we all are responsible for ourselves. And if you've changed your mind or you're doing something different now, I want to make it absolutely clear. Chrism doesn't hide these teachings. He never has, and I haven't either. And I just feel, come on, people, you know, take responsibility for what you're doing. And it's not easy. You know, it was interesting to hear Mohan saying there about the cat, you know, because, yes, I know where that's coming from, but we actually, because of our conditioning, we need the trigger, for the want of a better word, of the person, of the teacher. I think that is and was to me an essential component in the surrender to my Kundalini. So really, a cat doesn't work, guys. You know, sorry. And you know,
I'm naked in front of Lasha.
I mean that's not going to work. And you know, as we stay with this practice, and as what comes up for us, initially, I mean, for some people it's not an issue. Cool, that's great. For other people, it is for reasons that, you know, are multi-layered and complex. And I'm not even going to give examples, it doesn't matter. But the fact is, there's a purity to that, and it is always in the context with Chrism, in my experience, of devotion and mantra. And some people have an issue with the mantra. They're talking about that now, as though the mantra is in some way giving Chrism this kind of black magic voodoo stuff. Like, that's BS. You know, when we give ourselves to the divine, like I found myself with the Kundalini within me, you know, wanting to be devotional to the Kundalini. Now, guys, it's within me, so it's a very hard thing to be devotional to this physical body within myself. I can go out into nature and be devotional on the grass, with the sky, with everything like that, and that's wonderful. But there's a huge need to be devotional to the divine in a way that allows me to surrender to the divine that's within me, out of me as well. It's hard to explain it in words, but because a teacher such as Chrism is making himself available and giving this for people, it's an amazing bridge for us to become devotional to the divine. And I stand over that. I don't always agree with absolutely everything, but I I absolutely stand over that. And I'm saying it now, here and now. And don't let anybody, please, ever turn around and say that because they trusted me, they followed Chrism. You do as you are directed, and you make your own choices, and you own what you do. And if you change your mind, that's fine, or not. But, it's between you, it's your choice. And I need to say that strongly.
It's called personal responsibility.
Yeah, come on, people, And there's anybody can the Kundalini is the first teacher, and one of the things that with me when I was with Chrism, and Chrism was my teacher for 9 years. It's only recently that he's not my direct teacher. In lots of ways, he's still my guru, but that's a different story. I'm no longer a Chrism student, but that for 9 years, the devotion, the mantra, all of that was the thing that was incredibly precious to me, and I stand over that. And I'm not standing over it because, some people suggest, oh, well, you're so bonded and you're so attached to all of that you can't actually walk away.
Oh, no.
And you walked away.
You're brainwashing.
Yeah, that's what people say. And I'm no longer his teacher because Chrism is corrupt. That's rubbish. And anybody who says that is not being truthful. The reason that I'm not there, that I'm no longer Chrism, it's just at this particular time, this is what was given to me from my Kundalini. My Kundalini could turn around next week and say, hey, Amelia, and she does this, Okay, back to
Totally. She is in charge. Kundalini is in charge.
Totally. And in a heartbeat, I would be back. Because that's what
you are demonstrating that personal responsibility.
Yeah.
When you listen to
totally.
your Kundalini, you've got to listen to your Kundalini first. And I mean your Kundalini. Yeah. I don't mean ancestors or entities that you may think are your Kundalini. I mean the straight up Kundalini, and really, your ability to discern that improves with the gift of yourself to that. And that's really what we're teaching and what we're practicing here. And if you can't see that as truth, then don't necessarily jump on somebody's putrefaction because they disagree or they feel that something went wrong. And I don't care how attracted to them you might be. Don't do that. Don't mess yourself up by following somebody else's bad example simply because you need to have a reason to explode or vent.
Yeah.
Or and this is what I think is happening a lot too. Like I said, I haven't read these things. I mean, Amelia, you have far more of a sight on that than I do. But
well, actually, Chrism, I read them and I skim-read them, and I just got the energetics from them. I haven't read detail because I've been so busy with Rosemary. She's in another room listening. She's
Hi, Rosemary.
She's in another room. I don't know if she can come on or not, but we have trouble with
I got your 2 letters. Rosemary. Thank you for sending them.
So she can't,
because
she's not on the phone. So, and
okay.
In the context of but she can come out here if you want to talk to her, do you? In the context,
okay.
Let me finish. Okay. In the context of mantra and devotion, and if being naked is part of that as well, and it typically has been in my own experience, that trinity of surrender to the Kundalini. The Kundalini inserts itself in there as well, with Chrism's Kundalini, your Kundalini. And the Kundalini can change the mantra. And Chrism will always know and, follow that. So this thing about, people are saying, about the mantra and all of that. The Kundalini gives the mantra. Sometimes through the teacher for a while, it changes it comes back. And Chrism works with the Kundalini that is within the person and within themselves. And trusting that, this is part of the process, is part of the process. Once you stop trusting it and you start it just all goes AWOL. And you don't trust just because you have no other option. As time goes on, you begin to learn the how far you're going with the Kundalini because of the work that you're doing, because it really works on your ego, it works on your conditioning, it amplifies it so that you can work with it. I mean, sometimes I would suggest, and I'm going to say this because Chrism knows, sometimes I might suggest, not everybody needs to do this work. But I know that anybody...
do it with everybody either. I don't do it with everyone.
Yeah, but if somebody does this work, right, it's very, very rare. I know you would. It's very rare for somebody to have no response. It's at that point of response the catalyst happens and the work really begins. And it's what you do with that. And, if you're going to think that this is indecent and then you leave, that's going to be that. There you are, it's indecent. You don't get to experience the purity because you project and you're working with all of that. And for me, there is a sacredness and a purity within the context of nakedness, within the context of mantra, within the context of surrender to the divine that is being there through the teacher and through yourself. And I'm saying no more now. I'm done.
Well, I mean, you're speaking of the Trinity. You're speaking of a Trinity. You, your Kundalini, and the teacher the Kundalini has given you to. I mean, this is the center point of what is going on with your daily life. I mean, people who are doing this type of work. I mean, it is such a sacred intensity that is being developed here. That for these people to cast aspersions at that is really pushing themselves down that ladder of evolution. I mean, just by virtue of their own ego animosity and resentment and anger and whatever else may be coming up for them. It's really defecating where you live. I mean, it's just, And I don't really care that they're. I mean, I care because I know that they're upset, and I don't. I know that they're upset because of what they have decided to buy into, and because they've decided not to take any personal responsibility at all, and it's all about blaming somebody else, and there's no off button on my computer or my Skype or. Oh, I just can't say no because the black magic is coming in and I'm just so intoxicated with the black magic, whatever it is.
Or I was fooled, blah, 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 blah. And I can understand on some level, Chrism, because once this, and I don't like using the word bandwagon, but I can't think of anything else, but it's a new conditioning. It's the conditioning of that this is not okay. So if you take that premise as being the correct one, it is not okay to be naked in front of a teacher because he's a predatory sexual abuser. If you take that as fact, it is then extremely easy to jump on the bandwagon and totally disregard the people who don't experience it that way at all, and they become, brainwashed themselves and dismissed and this and that, and so they're sidelined within the context of this bandwagon, I'm using it again, that gathers steam. Now, and for the people, and there are people who do this work, there's a great challenge there too, not to become angry, or because very nasty things are said, as well about the people that participate and that are doing this work with their Kundalini. And so it's a great challenge within that context as well, not to become unbalanced, not to become, overwhelmed with the projections of people who are seeing it in a very
negative light.
Way. Yeah, totally negative. And that there is no room whatsoever for, I love you, but you're misinformed is what you're being told, and you're this and you're that. So I don't think, and I feel there probably is no way of of changing the mind of people, and there's no point really in even trying. What upsets me, in inverted commas, is that sometimes people are, moved away from something that could be very, very helpful for them, and could really, really assist them. And I'll stand over that. I'll stand over that. If I am saying to somebody, Chrism was my teacher and a very difficult teacher, and I've never said anything but that. Well, I still stand over that, even if down the road the potential is that the same work is going to happen with that student. That is between that student and their teacher. And there are men who do this, there are women who do this, there are people in their 60s and 70s and 40s and 30s and 50s. And to say, the girls, and we're referring to people in their 30s, 40s and 50s, they're not girls, they're women. The girls are, naive, and they're unable to, again, it's about personal responsibility. Nobody's forced, you've got a choice, you can leave, you don't have to do this work if you don't want to. And
there's an off button on the computer.
Yeah, and you can, and that's perfectly fine. And if you change your mind, I have known for Chrism is okay with that, because he understands.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you understand that people go through these.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm done now. I know.
Oh my
I
God.
was going to say all that.
Well, maybe maybe that was more your Kundalini speaking as well.
Well, there was yeah. Okay, so you're probably. Is there anybody there for a question? Has everybody? Let me see on the studio. Have we any new listeners? It's awkward when I'm on my phone.
The chat room is full, and they have these little things next to them, and it looks like they're sleeping. I'm not quite sure how that works.
That just means they're not typing. They're still there. Everybody, just to prove you're listening, go press number 1 or something on your keyboard.
It's all right. It's all right. Let's go straight to the questions. I mean, if you had received questions, certainly about this subject, let's deal with them.
Interesting. I actually haven't. And I checked my email. I have no questions.
The big group seems to be kind of bored with the whole thing. I got the strong feeling, day before yesterday, or was it yesterday, enough about this. Let's just move on. Let's forgive and move on, and let people have whatever anger issue they want to have. And yes, slime your name, and that's perfectly all right. So I said, in one of the posts, I said, okay, enough about me, defending what I do and whatnot, and let's just move on. And the group, at least the Kundalini Awakening group, ! Seemed more than happy to do that. Just move on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One of the things that you posted, because I haven't been really on, I just was on this morning for a minute, was that quote from St. Teresa of Avila, and that's a very powerful quote, and I can totally relate to that.
Huge teaching.
It is huge.
And it really ties in. It ties in with our current discussions.
Yes, it does. Now, I said on the thing, she says about unlearned or unteachable women or something, and because that doesn't apply in the Western world, because it was of her era. Because yes, you're right, there weren't people. Women weren't allowed to be taught, but all the rest of it, in terms of, what she said, that's worth reading, and maybe to close the. What do you think? Would you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it. Here, let me get on over there.
I don't have it here because I've only got my phone.
I have it. No, I have it here. I can get there really quick here. Let's see. Skimming on. Here we go. Okay, this is from St. Teresa of Avila, written in the 15th century. And I wrote above it, I said, this teaching is too powerful not to repeat. It is truthfully a core element of the Kundalini experience as given by St. Teresa of Avila. And here it is. The safest course in these things is to declare without fail the whole state of the soul, together with the graces our Lord gives me, to a confessor who is learned, and to obey him. Confessor being a teacher. I do so, and if I did not, I should have no peace. Nor is it right that we women who are unlearned should have any. And she's just speaking to the times. In the 15th century, women weren't allowed to be learned as much as they are today. So she continues here. She says, there can be no danger in this, but rather great profit. This is what our Lord has often commanded me to do, and it is what I have often done. I had a confessor who mortified me greatly. Now, do we know what mortified means? Let's look up that word, mortified. Mortified. Definition. Here we go. The definition online is to cause someone to feel embarrassed, ashamed, or humiliated. Embarrassed, humiliate, chagrin, discomfort, shame, abashed, horrify, appalled. Okay? This is what she is talking about. So she says, once again, I had a confessor who mortified me greatly. Now, this could be, right along the lines of what I'm doing with some of these folks here, okay? Mortified me greatly, and now and then distressed me. Do we know what the word distressed means? Pretty much people know what the word distressed means. He tried me heavily, for he disquieted me exceedingly. And yet he was the one who, I believe, did me the most good. Though I had a great affection for him, I was occasionally tempted to leave him. I thought that the pain he inflicted on me disturbed my prayer. This is exactly what we're talking about here.
Yep.
Taking you right out of your comfort zones and placing you into a position where you have to do things that you wouldn't normally do, things that were comfortable for you. This is exactly what's occurring. And this is also part of what the Kundalini teaches me to do to people. And she has you go straight to the fears and the areas of where a person would be embarrassed, like saying the mantra would be embarrassing, or removing the clothes would be embarrassing. Anything that has an ego attachment is where she's going to go first. Anything that has an ego attachment, especially a strong ego attachment, that is a direct confrontation to how she sees the individual. She sees each one of us as beautiful in our natural qualities, as amazing creations of herself upon this world. The souls that inhabit these bodies are absolute gifts of the divine. And for us to call it decent or indecent based upon some extinct cultural leadership from the 15th century is brutal, and she will brutalize it. She will go after that first. And this includes how you self-talk. Now, entities that she allows you to have will come right on in and say, oh, no. Don't you listen to that man. He's going to cause you to get naked, dirty. Don't you listen to him, and she will allow that. She will allow that simply because she wants you to be able to discern what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. And nudity and saying mantras that give yourself completely to God, to grace, to the teacher grace has given you to, these are not inappropriate. These are the golden keys to the greater expansion of Kundalini within you, so you can get to a point where Amelia has God. Where the Kundalini in you says, enough. Let's see how you fly. If you need more education from this teacher, then that's fine. He's still there. He's still alive. He's still kicking. It's really all about trust as well. Do you trust your Kundalini? Do you trust your Kundalini to give you to the right teacher? And if you don't trust your Kundalini, well, then you have an even longer way to go, because that's the first trust that you're going to have to develop, the very first trust. And I want to welcome Manisha. Hi, Manisha, to the chat room. She is there. She's added some really wonderful energy there. And Emma
Hi,
is
Manisha.
laughing. Emma's laughing
Hi,
because
Manisha and Emma.
I said, thanks for being here and awake, Emma. Well, what time is it over there right now? I'm not used to doing it this time of the day. What is it there?
20 past 9 in the UK. 20 past 9 in the UK.
Everybody's digesting dinner then, I see. I understand.
20 past 10 in Manisha land. 20 past 10 in Manisha land.
Oh, Manisha land, where we will be going soon enough.
Yay.
So, for those of you that need to have a tantrum, have the tantrum. Have it. Enjoy it. Do everything you can do to get this stuff out of you. Come back to the teachings if your ego will allow it. I'm not...
Question,
yes, go ahead.
So people have said, and will in the future, I'm sure, say, I dreamed about Chrism and he became my teacher, but actually then their Kundalini pulled them out of it, and their Kundalini is telling them about the corruption and that this is wrong and this is indecent. So if people are saying, this is my Kundalini, then they're following
first of all,
Kundalini.
the Kundalini wouldn't direct you to a teacher that it felt that way about. And so I don't think that it's the Kundalini they're hearing. I think they're hearing entities, and I don't think they're able to discern the Kundalini from an entity.
Or their egos, again, because it gets so amplified by this at times, It's just that people, I need to say, people are saying Kundalini is making them, is instructing them to say these things and do these things, and everybody is on that bandwagon. And in the meantime, this
is not true. I mean, I know who you're talking about, and I know that she had more than one dream to come to the seminar to use me as a teacher. And then all of a sudden, her Kundalini is going, oh, he's bad, he's corrupt. This is not the Kundalini. This is an entity that she is mistaking for the Kundalini. This is it. This is what's been going on. And then everybody else, all the other people getting behind that bandwagon, they also have some sort of an infection that is not allowing them to tell the truth from a lie.
What's interesting to me about what St. Teresa said, what was that last sentence about? The pain he inflicted on me disturbs my prayer. She thought that the pain he inflicted on her disturbed her prayer, because we can be in a place where, our own way of praying, we're very comfortable with. So when a confessor, a teacher comes along and disturbs that, and the ego, and I'm not even going to mention entities, just the ego on its own, finds that, interprets that as being that the confessor, the teacher, is disturbing their prayer. Kind of is, really. because it needs to be done. And at that particular point, then, that's, you know,
one of them,
if you decide the disturbing
people
of your prayer is a bad thing, well then, you know, you're heading down the road again of not paying attention to what is actually happening, which is the most incredible opportunity to go deeper into a way that you haven't experienced before, and to pray in a new way and in a way that your Kundalini is directing. I should speak about myself. That was my experience.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with this. And I've also been given to share an experience, and I'm not going to name any names, but one of the people complaining had a dream where the Kundalini appeared in a very specific form, and you know, and I'm seeing this person's dream taking place on a mountaintop, and they're standing there, and the form that the Kundalini has come to them in looks at them, sees them, looks straight at them, and then walks away, leaving them alone on the mountaintop. And that is what has occurred with this individual, and she's one of the main complainers. The Kundalini just left her for a time, probably just to test her, to see what she would do. How will she go into ego? Will she not? How will she do this type of thing? And just to test her. And you know, look what's going on. There you have it, right there. The dream foretold quite a bit in advance. You know where this person. It actually didn't foretold. It's just a test. It's just seeing how this person is going, and you know, probably give them some level of self-correction down the road.
And the Kundalini does that. She leaves in inverted commas. I mean, I've seen that, you know.
Yeah,
and
she goes into plateaus. You know, people don't get the direct instruction they normally like to get. They don't get a Kriya, or they don't get a whatever it is they become attached to as a communication from the Kundalini. And this person, you know, this was their dream. They had this dream. It's not me dreaming this for them. This is their dream. And I can see that this test is currently occurring. And I think it's great. And then we have other people complaining that have been addicted to drugs for years and years. We're talking heavy drugs. We're not talking, you know, aspirin here. And they've done their best to try to get out of it. And I really, really hand it to them for doing that heavy lifting to get out of that and to get into the Kundalini. But they haven't been doing what I suggested they do, you know, which is, you know, getting away from people that are harboring a lot of entities. And so they'd still do that, and they'd come around them. And of course, you know, some would attach to them. And of course, you know, through the challenge of receiving more energy at the seminar and not doing their ego maintenance, boom, one was able to get in, and boom, once it got in, it was able to change their mind by writing the fears and the anger and the insecurities of the individual. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if you're doing it as per Chrism or as per some other teacher or whatever, or if you're following the safeties, keep your ego maintenance program going. Never, ever, ever stop that while you're exploring Kundalini seriously, because it will work its way against, shall we say, your evolution. Once again, I want to read this, you know. This is from St. Teresa's again. There can be no danger in this, but rather great profit. This is what our Lord, which would have been the Kundalini for her, has often commanded me to do, and it is what I have often done. I had a confessor who mortified me greatly, and now and then distressed me. He tried me heavily, for he disquieted me exceedingly. And yet he was the one who I believe did me the most good. Think about that. ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Those who are having this big problem. I know you're going to listen to this radio show because I know you want to know, and you want to cast more aspersions. Oh, he said this about that, just really kind of like inside of the vortex of anger and resentment and rage and expressing all these incredibly negative qualities because you need to get it out of you. I totally understand you, and I forgive you, and if you want to come back into these teachings, you're more than welcome. If your ego will allow it, if you can take that, and allow yourself to come back, there is no animosity from me to you at all. I totally understand this. Been through it myself. Listen to Santara. She's been through it too. Don't hold back if your Kundalini is coming to you and saying, hey. Just calm it down, honey. Calm it down. Look at exactly what's occurring. Look what level of control you've always had over this. You've always had control over what you receive from this teacher. Always. You have the off button in your hot little hands. You can turn him off at any time. You've always been able to do that. Always. So if you feel like coming back, then come on back. Go ahead.
And I just want to say for people who are listening, even new people or people who are around a while and have been very thrown by what happened and unbalanced and, have become a bit distressed, sometimes in spite of themselves. Some of it is because you don't listen sometimes to what is being said. None of this has been really hidden. Chrism has written about it before. He's been very blatant about it. If you listen to the radio shows, as Indra mentioned, or, if you really read what's written about it, Chrism does this work. And I don't know, Chrism, I think every so often you should sort of name the trinity of things that you do so people get it and know it, and that it's not just about, for some of us going out naked in nature. It is also sometimes being that way within the grace and purity of being with your teacher and your Kundalini. And, that's that, and that's a fact.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
But not for it's not everybody that it's just for those that are called to do it. And by called, I mean the Kundalini in me says, oh, no. They've got way too much energy in hiding themselves from the challenges that you represent. And
yeah.
Atlantis Seeker, what was that? Atlantis Seeker is like title at the top of this page now says Kunalini. How did that happen? I don't even know where the title of the page is. How do you see that, Atlantis Seeker?
Is that an error in my spelling? Oh, really?
That could be you. I started the chat. I want to see that. That's very cool. Well, I don't get to see that, Atlantis Seeker. It's like you guys get to enjoy that. That's very good. So it's not everybody that does this. I've done this with men too, and we're not having sex, and I would do it with.
Nobody believes that, I wish one of the men would come out and just
oh,
say,
they'd be all over. I'd be getting.
And I know them, so I'd love to. I'm not going to if you're listening, but it's just, really and truly, and I am not lying. This has been done with men as well. They have been devotional. In the same way.
It really works well with
Why
them.
wouldn't it be that way,
Well.
Of course it
very
does.
powerful.
It works well with all of us. And why wouldn't it work with men? Seriously? Because it's not about indecent. It's not about, all the things that are being said. I have no questions, I've got one from the group.
Go ahead.
Will I read?
Go ahead.
I actually need to say, yesterday in Dublin as well,
water?
I met Priya. No, I'm okay. I met Priya. Well, I'm going to say Shakti Shiva, and wonderful to meet her, and to meet another Kundalini sister, and we had a lovely meal in a Thai restaurant. And I need to just tell you a teeny little story about it. Rosemary and myself drove in from Newgrange, so I suppose it was the best part of maybe 50 minutes in the car. And we were coming right into Bagot Street, which is in the city centre. So we're coming down the left-hand side of the road, and my Google tells me it's over, on the right-hand side of the restaurant. And I think, there's no way I'm going to park here. So as we're coming to the traffic lights, I said out loud, Kundalini, this is so trivial. I hate to ask you, but please, can we get a good parking space? Just, please. Well, I pulled in and I looked over and I said, oh, there's the restaurant. And the next thing, I was able to, it was like the traffic disappeared. I was able to do a U-turn in the middle of this Dublin city street and pull into the other side of the road right outside the door. And it was incredible, Chrism. Incredible.
I love that.
And it was amazing, And I was, but I did, I thought it was such a trivial request. I didn't even want to ask her, but I said it out loud. This is so trivial. I hesitate to ask you. But had I not got that, it would have caused great distress trying to park the car, and and it was a lovely sign that the three of us were meant to meet, and the Kundalini was with us and all of that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. It was really cool.
Thank you.
And gratitude to Kundalini for it.
I'm gonna go back here to Mohan. You stay in the red, because if he might have a question for you. Mohan, did that clear anything up for you at all? What we've been dealing with it. So, do you have any other questions that come to mind from your end?
Yes, I do. Just give me a second. I'm coming out.
You're coming through very clearly. Very nice. Very quiet. Oh, that's right. You're at work.
Yeah.
You got to go to the mall.
The timings have changed, man.
Yeah. True enough. Oh, I see. He was just listening. He was listening
I think
from the desk.
Maybe he needs to go somewhere to ask the question. So
I think
the timing is suiting. You're back.
Go ahead.
So my question is, if somebody is complaining about you or talking about you, do any of your students have to stand up for you and against them? Will that create any bad karma from them? Because the people who are complaining have their own karma to deal with. If we are standing up against them and defending you, which does it create any imbalance in the karma area?
I think it creates. I think it creates the balance for people, because it's not just about the individual karma. It's also the damage that they're doing to the people that are sitting. They don't know about this guy. They like his teachings, but they don't know about him as a teacher, and they're hearing all these negative things about him, and it's very, very unbalanced with the negativity. And so as to the other students that are not having a negative experience comment, it brings a level of balance to the conversation, and it begins to take some of the untruths that accusers are giving, and brings in levels of truth that a person can really benefit from this type of a practice. And there's the karmic load, the karmic balancing needs to occur. You need to be able to choose from a level of two sides rather than from one dark side, right? And so I think that the people coming in that are saying, hey, you know, I've been working with this guy for this amount of time, and you know, he's shown me levels of purity, or he's shown me levels of healing that has been given to me through my work with him, and I continue to work with him, and I continue to trust in all these things. You know, it gives people a balanced perspective because they're saying it in a forum, Mohan. They're saying it in a forum for this, and it's, you know, the other people are kind of hiding it in a page, you know, and you know, they're really just kind of, they're inside of their own hurricane of discontent, and they're doing their very best to spread as much of that discontent as they can. And I think that that is causing more of an imbalance than people coming in and giving their honest assessments of how they respond to these types of teachings. And like I said, not everybody's getting the same teaching, and we got to be clear with that.
Right.
But the mantras are all going to be about surrendering themselves, surrendering their control, surrendering their love, surrendering their life, and all of these areas. And I think it's important for people to understand both sides of the equation rather than just one.
Okay, but what I felt was instead of like one of the guy who was like aggressive, why don't you guys stand up for your teacher, and why are you guys keeping quiet?
Well,
but what I felt was the people who are going through this are burning some type of their karma, and they might come back in their journey. But what I felt was like my sympathies with them, like they are going through whatever they are going through, and I wanted to like ask them to try to make peace with whatever happened and move on your journey. That's it. Like I didn't get any offense from them that they are talking bad things about my teacher, because I know what my teacher is, but they in their current situation in their journey are having these kind of thoughts, but after some time they will get back to your normalcy and they'll start thinking about what they've said and what they did at a particular time in their journey.
Well, this is true. This is what I was saying just a little while ago. You know, you're welcome to come back. You're welcome. Nobody's harboring animosity towards you. You know, you're welcome to come back. You're welcome to re-engage if you want, if your ego will allow it. I know that most people's ego within the Western context, Mohan, will not allow them to come back to somebody who they feel that they have burned a bridge with.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, they're not that self-forgiving, and I would hope some of them would be, but you know, I just want them to know the door is open if they wish to. As far as coming to the defense of your teacher, I think it's important for people to give their truth of how they've received from their teacher, in the face of people that are really giving their truth about the shall we say the lack of contentment that they're receiving from the teacher. I don't see it as a wrong thing to give balance to an equation that is tilting towards the negative. I don't see that as a problem. I don't see that as they're still going to create their karma, but by giving more of a balanced approach, you may allow them to second guess some of the negativity that's coming to them about this thing, and they can kind of go, well, you know, how can this guy have such a great experience and I'm having such a terrible experience? What is going on with that? You know what I'm saying? And it allows them to have more of an introspection retrospectively, you know, during their great outcry of being maligned in whatever way, It gives a level of balance to the equation, and I think that's probably what that individual was, in a vociferous and energetic way, trying to insert into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. See, their perception of what it is their truth. That's kind of what you're saying there. So, and that is their truth. And I think when their truth is affirmed for them, their perception is affirmed and affirmed and affirmed, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for that to turn around. It does, but it's rare enough.
Yeah, you know, what do they say? Misery wants company, right?
Yeah.
Misery wants company, and because they're in a miserable state because they feel one way or the other, you know, they want to have their program validated. They want to have their misery validated, and they want that company, and they want to kind of wallow in that self-pity and that anger and that aggressiveness, and you know, for somebody to come into that conversation and say, hey, I've had a very good experience with this teacher. You know, why aren't some of the other students here having, you know, giving their experiences of goodness that this teacher has given? And, you know, where's the balance, you know? And so I hear the airplane near that airport there, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's okay, it's all right. Where is the balance to the conversation? Is this a conversation, or is this just basically a whipping the teacher session amongst people who feel they want to punish that man for whatever level of indecency that he has approached them with? I mean, you know, where does it stop being a conversation that has a balance to it, and it denigrates into a huge complaint session that has no rhyme or reason except the deepening, as Amelia just mentioned, of the program of resentment that they will find almost impossible to pull themselves out of. That's the karma. That is the karma. See, there is the karma, Mohan. They've been taken out of levels of truth because their emotional, egotistic body either couldn't handle it or in some way was influenced away from it.
Okay, got it, Master.
Okay. All right, bye-bye. I'm going to put you in the blue here. So there we have it, folks, and I'm sorry to devote this entire program to this subject, but it has affected a certain number of people that I have worked with before, and you know, I extend my apologies to them if they feel that I've maligned them in any way. No, I'm not going to change how my teachings are given. I'm going to have to continue along the path of authentic honesty and integrity, and allow these areas and avenues of Kundalini expression to come forward. No, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and you know, increase the naked in nature teaching or the naked in front of the teacher teaching. Not going to go out and do that, and I'm not, you know, I'm just not pulled to do that with everyone anyway. And I'm not, you know, as a matter of fact, I'm just thinking of just backing off of it totally, just like, God, you know, it's such a load of work to go through with this, and it's not for everybody, and I'm not going to try to make it for everybody. And as a matter of fact, I just, you know, and I know I'm going to go to Germany on Sunday, and the following weekend I'm going to give that seminar. I'm going to have to deal with this issue over and over and over, because people have the Kundalini within them, have their fears typically amplified by the Kundalini. And when you add something like this subject matter into the, you know, into the equation, you know, they're going to have their fear increased. Their fear is going to be increased, and I want them to be able to freely ask me questions about this in person. And it also, it's, you know, one of the focus points that I'm going to take from this is for people to be really assiduous in their practice of the safety protocols, the practice of their ego management practice, whatever that may be. You know, the Buddhists have their own kind, the Christians have their own kind, the Sufis have their own kind, the Aborigines have their own kind. Okay, but whatever it is, practicing it, especially during Kundalini infusion, because it's so easy to fall off the path and down that canyon. You need to be able to come back to it. Don't feel like you need to immerse yourself into somebody else's whirlwind of a problem. Try to be detached from their issue instead of buying into it so greedily. And if you are buying into it in such a greedy way, well, then you were harboring that the entire time. There was some level of dissatisfaction and fear and malevolence that was harboring itself in you, just waiting for an opportunity to explode. And you have just got to let it explode and get it out. And then come back to the truth. Come back to the teaching. Don't feel you need to cut yourself off. And if your Kundalini tells you to come back, well, then you definitely take that advice that she's giving you and act on it. Don't let your ego go, oh, but I said this about him and that about him and this about him and that about him, because he doesn't care. He is not hanging on to that. He would much rather have you come back into the grace that you are after, you know, experiencing this detoxification and, you know, that you needed to experience. I mean, it's like vomiting during ayahuasca. You know, the stuff's not pretty. It's not something you want to put back in. Yeah. It's, yeah. And I know this from my experience. Once you vomit it out, it's got to stay out. And you feel much better within yourself after it's come out. You hear me struggling with that? Yeah.
I do.
Much better with yourself after it comes out. You know, it's just, you know, and you don't exclude yourself. You don't exclude yourself from the group after you vomit it. Yeah. You're still part of the group. You're still part of the process. You're still part of the experience. And this goes for those who are vomiting currently, you know, about this kind of teaching that I give. And that's just the way it is, folks. Get over yourself. Get over your problems. Get them out. You know, say the worst vicious things you need to say. Feel it. Think it. Let it be there. And then let it go. I know you're listening. I know you're listening. I know you're hearing these words. Don't let yourself rot because of this. You know, you needed to vomit, so you vomit. You vomit. You get that stuff out of you, and now come on back. Come on back if you can. If you still need to vomit some more, then you go ahead and vomit some more. But you come on back whenever you're ready. Okay. Manisha says, haven't heard anything about this complaining stuff, and I don't care to, because I'm not going to give it any energy. I would rather focus on something else. Good for you, Manisha. Good that you talk about it, though. Does not affect me. My heart is with you. Well, Manisha, you've got it. You've got it dialed in, my dear. You're doing great, and just keep on going, because you're right about the energy. And that's interesting, because that's what I was kind of saying earlier, how the group is just ready to move on. The group, you know, the 16,000 people, they're just kind of like going, okay, yeah, that happened. Okay, well, okay. And what does the Kundalini do when you know, and they just go right back in to the topic because they want to know. They want to know. They've read the writings, and the writings in some way resonate with them, and they want to know more. And I'm willing to give and give and give and give until I got nothing left to give. So with that, I would like to say thank you to everybody in the chat room, and thank you to Amelia and to Rosemary there in Ireland, lighting up the Emerald Isle. And any last words, Amelia?
Well, I have. So next week we will be coming from open space in Manisha's apartment. So we'll be broadcasting from Germany, and you're all invited, and I hope you join us. Because myself and Rosemary will be there, Chrism will be there, and I don't know, maybe there'll be other people there. And I'm looking forward very much to it. So see you then.
And I will be talking in my very worst German. Sprechen Sie mein German?
Please,
No.
Please. No. Oh, no.
Manisha goes, yippee!
No, Manisha, no.
No.
It'll be wonderful.
Das
See you then, guys.
Wasser ist kalt. Ich bin durstig, das Wasser ist kalt. Kommen Sie her. Okay, everybody, I just want to say thank you to those who have been listening in the archives, to those who have been listening live there on Facebook. And thank you to everybody who is shining the light of their grace upon this world. And I will stop this just as I started it. I would like to also say thank you to Mohan and to Indra for calling in and asking the astute questions that they asked. Thank you for your participation. To everybody in the chat room, if you want more information about what we're discussing here, you can go to the Facebook, and the group is called Kundalini Awakening with an exclamation point. If you want more information from a video, then go to the Chrism Kundalini channel, chrism.kundalini on YouTube, and Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 on the Yahoo Network, Kundalini Healing on the Facebook and Yahoo Network, Kundalini Awakening exclamation point on the Google Plus Network, and many, many blessings to everyone who has the Kundalini or who's looking to have the Kundalini. This world needs your grace. And have a beautiful, beautiful day or night, however it is for you. Thank you for listening, and here we go.